we have been doing a lot of top 10s on this channel. We've done our top 10 point guards, shooting guards, small forwards, and power forwards. We've done our top 10 starting lineups in the NBA. So now, my favorite position in basketball, we are going through the top 10 centers in the NBA. So without further ado, Lena, let's hit it. Let's get into the number 10 center that we have in the NBA. And at number 10, it's DeAndre Jordan, who consistent stats, consistent skill set, and he doesn't miss games. This guy does the same thing every single year. Dallas was the perfect landing spot for him as well. He's one of the elite pick-and-roll centers that we have in the NBA today. He's going to combo incredibly well with the likes of Dennis Smith Jr. and the likes of Luka Doncic. I think DeAndre Jordan is going to have a huge season with the Dallas Mavericks. Now, over the past couple years, he's been very, very consistent in terms of his overall offensive and defensive output. He's a good rim protector. He can get the job done down low. He's still a little bit slow. He doesn't defend the new kind of unicorn players very well, but what he does do is the pick and roll. He's a great pick and roll defender, and he's a great pick and roll guy in the offense as well. That's what made his stats so good when he was with Chris Paul. That's what kept him as one of the best centers in the NBA last year. 12 points a game, 15 total rebounds a game, a very good offensive rebounder as well, averaging about 4 offensive rebounds a game, shooting close to, ready for this, 64.5% per game. He's led the NBA in field goal percentage 5 years in a row before last year. So DeAndre Jordan coming in at number 10 on our list for centers. I'd have him a little bit higher. It's just he doesn't have the offensive output. And I think for now, he is kind of on the downside of his career. So we'll see what ends up happening with DeAndre Jordan. Let's get into the next DeAndre Jordan. That's Clint Capela coming in at number 9 on our list. He has evolved into one of the best defensive bigs in the NBA, and he got absolutely paid this offseason. Got paid. Dude got $95 million, which probably should end up with more. But you take $90 million if you can end up getting it. But what comes next is really going to define Clint Capela's career, because a lot of the times these guys get paid and they just stop trying. But Clint Capela last year, as Kyrie the GOAT says on our YouTube comments, he was a monster. He was the entire reason that the Houston Rockets, or not the entire reason, but he was the main reason why the Houston Rockets were one of the best defensive teams in all of basketball. I've said this multiple times on this show, that their entire defensive game plan was based around funneling people down low to have them basically get layups around their 6'10", 6'11" Swiss center, who, mind you, has a wingspan that is just unimaginable for a guy of his size. He's a very, very good player. And I think overall, Clint Capela is going to only get better as we go throughout his NBA career. He's going to be an integral part of the Houston Rockets team this year. You put him with Chris Paul, you put him with James Harden, you add Carmelo Anthony. He is going to be the centerpiece of their defense this year. And if things go as planned, he should end up being a Defensive Player of the Year candidate, if not next year, but maybe even the year after. Now, I do think that if Clint Capela was on a different team, he wouldn't be as good. I want to make that very clear. I think he landed in the perfect place for him. It just remains to be seen how he continues to evolve and change as a player as we go forward. But as of right now, Clint Capela coming in at number 9 on our list of the best centers in the NBA. All right, let's go to number 8. I've talked so much trash about Dwight Howard. I really have, because I don't think that he is a good fit for any locker room in the NBA. I don't. I think he's a cancer. I think he gets coaches fired. I think he pisses off teammates. I think he's a bad teammate. I do. I do not think that there's a reason why Dwight Howard has had a problem at every single place that he's been. And there's also a reason why he's on his 4th team in 4 years. Like, these things don't just happen. They happen for a reason. And I do think, though, that he's still one of the best centers that we have in the NBA in terms of ability. And he is also a first-ballot Hall of Famer. I wholeheartedly believe this. He can be both, but it's just the dude had a 30-30 game last year. He had a 30-point, 30-rebound game at the age of 33. There are not many guys in NBA history, let alone in the NBA today, that'll end up with a 30-point, 30-rebound game. And to me, that's still all I need to know about Dwight Howard, and that's why he's on our top 10 list, regardless of what he does in the locker room, regardless of his attitude or his childish demeanor. The dude is still one of the best centers in the NBA. His PER last year, his player efficiency rating, which is kind of like WAR but for basketball, was 22. He had a 22 per. For those who are wondering, the NBA average is 15. Elite, like the best of the best players in the NBA, end up with high 20s. Like Anthony Davis last year was 28, 29, 30. Dwight Howard was 22, which is very, very good of a guy of his age with someone who might be in the middle of a declining skill set. But his field goal percentage last year was quite good. His shooting percentage overall, especially on mid-range jumpers, was the best of his career. So we might be seeing a little bit of a renaissance for Dwight Howard, but it's still the Washington Wizards, guys. The Wizards mess up everything. And if there's one thing that we know that they could mess up, it certainly is Dwight Howard. We have a comment coming in from Adrillis channel on YouTube saying that Dwight is underrated. I don't think he's underrated. I think he's perfectly rated as a top 10 center, but not a top 5 guy. But he's going to help out the Wizards in a big way this year on the court. Whether they can actually hold him on off the court remains to be seen. But for now, I think Dwight Howard is going to be a good addition for them. Let me know in the comment section, will the Wizards win the East this year? No. They're not going to win the East. They'll be good. I think they'll be, a 5 or 6, maybe even a 4 seed at best. But I do not think the Wizards will win the East this year. All right, let's go to number 7 on our list. This is a guy who I think is quite underrated, and that's Andre Drummond, the best rebounder in the NBA. Absolutely. No one has been able to get the kind of rebounds that Andre Drummond has been able to do over the past 3 to 4 seasons. It has been insane, the total rebounds that this guy has been able to average. He averaged 16 rebounds last year, 13.8 the year before, and 14.8 the year before that. He's led the NBA in rebounds 2 of the last 3 years, and apparently he's about to add a 3-ball to his arsenal. I want you guys to do something after you're done watching this and you're done watching all the rest of our top 10s. If you're wondering why I have Andre Drummond so high, go look up a video called Andre Drummond Ball Handle. Because Andre Drummond, for a center, the dude can move the ball. Let me tell you, him in the open floor is so unbelievably impressive. It is so impressive the way that this guy is able to dribble. He's got crossovers, behind the back moves. He's doing hook shots from the free throw line. Andre Drummond is a very underrated player who has only gotten better every single year in the NBA. And I think now with a full season of Blake Griffin, he's going to have the best season of his career. And if he's serious about, adding this 3-ball to his repertoire, I mean, hell, he could end up being one of the 5 best centers in basketball if he can actually shoot the 3-ball consistently with the ability that he has rebounding. Now, yes, he still has to he still has to actually shoot the 3-ball in a game. But I think for now, I think Andre Drummond deserves to be on our top 10 list, and I'm going to keep him right here at number 7. Let's go to number 6. I have Nikola Jokic. Very versatile. Maybe the best passing big man that we have in the game today. He can pass the frickin' lights out. I mean, they play him at point guard sometimes because he's so good at passing the ball, but his defense needs some work. He can score, he can rebound, he can pass. He just can't really play defense at all. He's not a good defender, especially in the pick and roll. He gets absolutely annihilated in the pick and roll. I have him at number 6. I think his defense is going to hold him back. And I know that there are other centers in the NBA who have some defensive problems. But for me, I think number 6 is a good spot for Jokic. He's still very young. He got that max contract that's going to start next season. He's just not a very quick player overall, but I love Nikola Jokic's game. Don't let the couple negative notes I have away from him. He's an amazing passer. He's a great big. He can shoot from outside as well. He's primed for a massive season. I mean, look at that starting lineup. Jamal Murray, Gary Harris, Paul Millsap on a full healthy season, plus Will Barton. I think Jokic is going to be primed for a massive season. He averaged 18, 10, and 6 last year. That could totally jump up to about 20, 11, and 7.5. Really, it could. Paul Millsap only played about 30 games or 30 healthy games last year. I think Jokic is primed for a huge year. So watch out for Nikola Jokic as we go forward. He's going to really, really stun a lot of people. Jokic, you should go listen to the Denver Nuggets guy who tries to announce him the play-by-play guy. It's hilarious how many different ways he says his name. Let's go to our number 5 player. All right. We need to explain to you guys how these rankings work. If a player is coming off a debilitating injury, they cannot be the best player at their position anymore. They can't. They simply can't. DeMarcus Cousins cannot go into the season as the number 1 center in basketball if he blew out his Achilles. Because guys, guess what? Go look at histories of centers coming back from Achilles tears. The history is not at all in DeMarcus Cousins' favor. In fact, it is so far against his favor that I have come to the thinking that DeMarcus Cousins is never going to be the same player he was. Now, let me make this very clear. When DeMarcus Cousins is healthy and DeMarcus Cousins is at 100%, he is the best center in the NBA. He is the best center in the NBA when healthy. However, at this time, just like with Gordon Hayward, we have no idea what DeMarcus Cousins is going to be when he comes back. And he was definitely, I will say this right now, he was the number 1 center in basketball before he got injured. He was in the middle of maybe the best season of his career when he got injured. But the problem is, guys, this isn't just some random injury. This isn't just, a torn ACL that Kristaps Porzingis is coming back from. This is a blown Achilles, which for a guy of Cousins' size is maybe the worst possible injury that he could have gotten at this point in his career. It has ruined countless centers' careers from the start of the NBA career, from the start of the NBA until now. So if Cousins comes back as the same player, I have no problem putting him in number 1. But like the weighing that we have on here right now, will DeMarcus Cousins be the same player after his injury? No idea. No idea. He could come back and be 100% by February, or he could never be the same player again. Both are just as likely, and I would say that him being a different player is more likely than not. So beware of saying that DeMarcus Cousins is the number 1 center in the NBA right now, because honestly, guys, that injury might have ended his career as an elite NBA center. I'm serious. Go look at the history of Achilles tears on centers. It is a bad injury to get for a guy of his size. So he's only coming in at number 5 for now for me. Let's go to number 4. Another guy who I think I'm going to get a little bit of flack from because I don't think the casual NBA fan really understands the impact that Al Horford has on the floor. Let me make this as clear as I possibly can for you guys at home. If Al Horford is not on the Celtics, they are not an elite NBA team. They aren't. He is what makes them tick. It's not Kyrie Irving. It's not Jason Tatum. It's Al Horford. Al Horford is the player who makes them so good. Al Horford is the player who has defined their defensive attitude since Kevin Garnett has left and they were able to bring in Al Horford a couple years ago. I understand that his points per game and his overall stat line isn't great. Trust me, I know. I've been fighting for the Al Horford train for a while. But he's an incredible two-way big. He made second-team all-defense this year. He's one of the most impactful players in terms of his on-court and off-court numbers in the NBA. Go watch the playoffs last year against the Cleveland Cavaliers and watch what happens when Al Horford is off the court for the Celtics. They got annihilated by the Cavs when Al Horford was not on the floor. Not to mention, with Kyrie Irving injured and Gordon Hayward injured, Al Horford ended up being the guy for the Celtics in terms of the on-court leader. And I think what he brings from a leadership perspective, a defensive perspective, and a lot of the things, he is totally deserving of the number 4 player on our list. Let's go to number 3, Karl-Anthony Towns. I'm tired of these arguments. I'm tired of hearing about, the questions, is Karl-Anthony Towns overrated? No, not at all. Karl-Anthony Towns is the best young center in the NBA. He's 22 years old and now has back-to-back seasons of 20-plus points and 10-plus rebounds. He is an elite NBA center at a very, very young age. He's only 22 years old. I understand that he has defensive issues. I totally get it. I understand that he has some effort issues as well, but no one in the NBA, maybe outside of Kristaps Porzingis at his age, can do what this guy can do on the offensive side of the ball. Now, he vanished in the playoffs this year. Now, I think that also has to do with the fact that, I mean, good Christ, Tom Thibodeau is one of the worst coaches in the NBA today. But I think Karl-Anthony Towns, 21-12 last year, 22 years old, already an NBA All-Star. His trajectory as an NBA player is just doing, well, I guess for you guys it's this, but for me it's this. It's this. He's just getting better and better and better every single year. I don't care what Jimmy Butler has to say. I don't care what any of these other veterans have to say. There are not a lot of guys who can do what he can do at his age, and he's only going to get better. Saw a comment come in about how Karl-Anthony Towns is worse than Nikola Jokic. He's not. Give me Karl-Anthony Towns over Jokic any day. I think Towns is the #1 unicorn in basketball. Let's go to number 2. Rudy Gobert. Led the NBA in defensive rating, 3rd in the NBA in blocks per game, the reigning defensive player of the year, the Eiffel Tower, and the best defensive player in basketball last year. Totally deserving of the #2 center spot in the NBA. Just from the amount of impact that he physically has on the court is really unlike any other defensive center that we have in basketball today. He really makes the Utah Jazz the elite unit that they are. His contract isn't terrible, only $23.5 million a year. Rudy Gobert is a fantastic player. I understand that he's a little bit iffy on the offensive side of the ball, but guys, just go back and watch Rudy Gobert last year. He was one of the reasons. I know, we got caught up in Donovan Mitchell, but the Utah Jazz were, one of the 3 or 4 best defensive teams in basketball last year. Rudy Gobert was the reason for that. He is the core of that defense. He is the heart and soul of that team. Donovan Mitchell is the crazy cool hair that is growing out of the Utah Jazz body. Rudy Gobert is the heart and soul. He is what makes the Utah Jazz go, and he was without a question the best defensive player in basketball, a very deserving defensive player of the year. I'm worried about Rudy Gobert's long-term health and his long-term consistency. But going into next season, which is what this ranking is, Rudy Gobert is absolutely the 2nd best center in basketball. He just won Defensive Player of the Year, guys. And not to mention, he's the best rim protector in basketball as well. Let's go to our #1 player, process of elimination. It's Joel Embiid. The only negative against Joel Embiid at this point in his career is his health. That's it. That's the only thing that's going to hold Joel Embiid back from being one of the all-time great centers that we've seen. Just go watch his game. He's like Hakeem Olajuwon 2.0. He really is. I'm serious. Like, he has an unbelievable ability down low to score. His post work is incredible. His rebounding is incredible. His defense is, again, he's one of the best defensive players in all of basketball, and he's also the best offensive center that we have in the game today now that DeMarcus Cousins has gone down with an injury. He's got the offense, he's got the defense, he's got the pizzazz, he's got the social media handle. Like, he's got everything going for him, and I'm just a little bit worried, though, how is health going to affect his game as we go through his career? Because he's going into his age 25 season, he's already missed so much time. I wonder how long it's going to take for him to get to his #1 elite spot. And I also need to make one thing very clear. I said that Anthony Davis is the best center in basketball during our Power Forwards video last week. He is the best center in basketball. However, because I listened to you guys, you all said don't put Anthony Davis on this list since you already have him at #1 for power forward. So I didn't. I listened, so Joel Embiid comes in as the #1 center on our list for 2018-19. So without further ado, Elena, drum roll please, our board going into the season, the best lineup in the NBA. Steph Curry at point guard, James Harden at shooting guard, LeBron James at small forward, Anthony Davis at power forward, and Joel Embiid coming in as the best center in the NBA. A couple of YouTube comments coming in. One from Sandy Enrique Christian Santana saying, it is too early in Joel Embiid's career to say he is #1. No, it is not. It is absolutely not. The dude averaged 22 and 11 last year and was completely dominant when he was out there on the floor. Mind you, Ben Simmons was hurt for a couple of games last year. Joel Embiid absolutely dominated. Joel Embiid was incredible. Not to mention, he had one of the best primetime performances of anyone when he dropped 40 points against the Los Angeles Lakers on primetime television. So, and mind you, people are asking, this isn't a lineup as a realistic team, but we'll get you guys next week. But that's going to do for NBA Weekly today. Thanks to Miz and in Maine. But for now, we'll see ya.